Hi, my name is Asa. Welcome to this 25-minute slow flow Vinyasa class. I invite you to move in a way that honors your body. Modify the poses as needed and rest when you feel called. Begin by lying flat on your back with both knees bent. Place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. Option to close the eyes if that feels comfortable. And feel your body breathe here. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your belly and chest with each breath. Using your breath to transition you from wherever you were a few minutes ago to where you are right now. Using your breath to welcome yourself to your yoga practice today. Take a couple more deep breaths here. If you'd like to set an intention, now would be a great time. And then the next time you exhale, gently hug the knees in towards the chest. You can stay here, or if it feels good, option to rock side to side gently. And then eventually roll over onto your side, placing both hands to the ground and pressing up, coming to a hands and knees position, also called tabletop. The fingers spread wide, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, belly gently drawing up towards the spine. From here we'll move into cat-cow. On your next exhale, round in your back, pressing the back of the heart up towards the ceiling. Draw the chin towards the chest and lengthen the tailbone down to the ground. On your next inhale, drop the belly, tailbone reaches up now towards the ceiling, and then bring your gaze and your chest, your heart forward, coming into cow pose. On your next exhale, round in the back again, pressing the back of the heart up towards the ceiling, tailbone lengthens down. And then inhale, tailbone reaches up towards the ceiling, belly drops, chest and head come forward. Once more, just like this, rounding back into cat pose, pressing the back of the heart up towards the ceiling. And then inhale, drop the belly, chest and head come forward, really reaching the heart forward and up. From here, we're going to come back into child's pose, so stepping the knees wide, about as wide as the mat, big toes touch back behind, and then gently sink the hips down. And here you can reach the arms overhead, just pressing them down into the mat. Or if the forehead doesn't reach the floor, you can rest the forehead on two stacked palms or stacked fists. Or if you have a block or a pillow, you can rest the forehead there. We'll stay here for a couple of breaths. Option to circle the wrists. Breathing deeply. Knowing that this is a nice resting pose that you can come into any time throughout our yoga practice today. Go ahead and take one more deep breath here. On your exhale, let it out through the mouth. Big cleansing breath, big sigh. On your next inhale, float yourself back to that tabletop position. Shoulders over knees, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. From here, step the knees back a few inches, lower the hips a few inches, coming into a knee plank. So imagine there was a diagonal line from your shoulders down your hips to your knees. Belly's hugging strongly in towards the spine. Arms are strong, slight bend in the elbows. Here's your knee plank. On your next exhale, slowly lower your body all the way down to the mat. Elbows hugging in towards the body, elbows point straight back, all the way to the floor. On your next inhale, lift your head and lift your chest. Belly stays on the mat for a baby cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Twice more like that. Inhale, lift the head, lift the chest, baby cobra. Option to float the hands off the mat. And exhale, lower back down. Once more, inhale, lift the head, lift the chest. Option to float the hands off the mat. And then exhale, lower back down. From here, press into the hands, lift it back up through tabletop, send the hips back briefly through child's pose, and then send the hips back and up to downward facing dog. So in down dog, sit bones are reaching back and up behind you, finding that length in the spine. All four corners of the hands are pressing down into the mat. gripping, pressing the finger pads into the mat as well. Fingers spread wide. Bend the knees as much as you'd like here. Heels can stay off the mat. If it feels good, you might drop one heel at a time. They call this walking the dog, getting a nice stretch in the calves, the hamstrings. You might also like to nod the head yes and no and maybe. Any other movement that feels nice in your down dog, maybe gently swaying the hips from one side to the other. Very nice. We'll take one more breath here. And then on the exhale, slowly walk your hands back towards your feet, coming into a standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Bend the knees as much as you'd like here. If the belly reaches the thighs, you can rest the belly on the thighs. Just an option there. And allow the arms to hang. Option to grab a hold of opposite elbows. And letting gravity bring some space here in between your vertebrae. You can nod the head yes, no, maybe. Any little movement here, maybe a sway from side to side. We'll take one more breath here. And then on your exhale, slowly rise up to standing. Now take a moment to step towards the top of the mat. We're going to move into our standing series. We'll start in Tadasana, so standing up at the top of the mat, feet about hip-width distance apart, all 10 toes face forward. Nice strong legs here. Feet are rooting down into the earth, kneecaps lifting, tailbone lengthening down, belly hugging in, shoulder blades drawing together and down the back. Palms can either face in towards the body or face forward. And lift up through the crown of the head, standing nice and tall here, feeling that nice rooting action in the feet and also lifting up through the crown of the head. From here, inhale, draw the arms out and overhead. Exhale, fold forward, standing forward bend. Inhale, lift up halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead, palms touch. And then exhale, slide the hands down to heart center. Again, inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. Palms touch, and exhale, hands to heart center. Let's add on. Inhale, arms overhead. Reach up through the crown of the head, and then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, reaching the crown of your head straight in front of you like you're at a table right here. And then exhale, fold. Plant both hands on the mat and walk your feet back to downward facing dog. From down dog, inhale, look towards the top of the mat and step your right foot up at the top of the mat, coming to a runner's lunge. So the back knee is lifted, toes are tucked, front knee is bent. So at about, the front knee is tracking straight in the direction of your second toe. You can stay here with fingers on the floor, hands on blocks. And then from here, we're going to rise all the way up. So on an inhale, belly draws in, reach the arms forward and up, coming into a crescent lunge position. Crown of the head reaching up nice and tall. Bend the back leg, the back knee slightly, so you can lengthen your tailbone straight down to the earth. And then you can either keep the back leg bent or maybe start to straighten it. Take one more inhale right here, reaching through the fingertips, so strong. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center, palms touch each other. From here, we're going to come into a little balancing pose, Warrior 3. So slowly start to tip your torso forward as you float your left leg back and up behind you. Now you can maybe float that back foot up just an inch or two. You might lift it up higher. The higher the back leg lifts, you're going to want to tilt your torso more forward. So coming into this balancing pose, Warrior 3, pressing the hands into each other, drawing the navel in towards the spine, super strong core. And then from here, slowly with control, lower your back foot down, coming straight back into that crescent lunge position we were just in. Inhaling, arms up overhead. As you exhale, the arms float all the way forward down to the mat. From here, coming into a twist, plant your left hand down on the mat or on a block. And then inhale, open your right hand over to the right and up towards the ceiling. Now you can keep your gaze down here at the floor. You can look over to the right, or you might even look overhead towards your right hand. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, slowly unwind, bringing your right hand to the mat. Step it back to downward facing dog. From here, we're going to inhale and shift the weight forward, shoulders over wrists. Lower the knees, and then lower all the way down to the belly. Inhale, rising up halfway, baby cobra, lifting the head, chest. Exhale, lower. And then inhale, press into the hands, lift it up through tabletop, send the hips back and up to downward facing dog. From here, inhale, reach the left leg, or inhale, reach the left foot all the way up towards the top of the mat, setting the left foot down, coming into a runner's lunge here, back knee lifted. On your inhale, float both arms up towards the ceiling, rising up into Crescent Lunge. Bend the back knee, draw the tailbone down towards the ground, and then maybe start to straighten the back leg. One more breath here, reaching through the arms reaching up, and then exhale, hands to heart center. Coming into our warrior three, slowly tipping the torso forward, lifting the back leg. You decide how far you want to come into this pose. Just looking to keep a nice line from your head, down your spine, down your leg to your heel. Toes point down. From here, with control, slowly step your right foot back, and then rise up into a crescent lunge, reaching the arms up. On your next exhale, arms come forward all the way down to the mat. Place the right hand on the mat and open to a twist. Left arm sweeps open out to the side and overhead. And then on your next exhale, slowly bring it back to the mat and step back to downward facing dog. From here, shift it forward, bringing the shoulders over the wrists, coming into high plank. Lower the knees to knee plank, and then exhale, lower all the way down to the belly. Inhale, rise up, baby cobra, and exhale, lower. Inhale, press into the hands, coming up through tabletop, and then send it back to downward facing dog. From here, look towards the top of the mat, and then step both feet up to the top of the mat, coming into a standing forward bend. Bend the knees. Inhale, come up halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. And take a moment here to check in with your breath. It will tell you how you are. If your breath has become short and shallow, see if you can consciously lengthen your breath and deepen your breath to find balance. We've got one more flow here. From here, inhale, arms out and overhead. Exhale, fold forward, standing forward bend. Inhale, rise up, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step it back to downward facing dog. Inhale, reach your right leg back and up, three-legged dog. Reaching your heel up towards the ceiling, toes point down. And then on your exhale, bend the knee, hug it in towards your chest, and step it all the way up to the top of the mat. So the right foot's at the top of the mat. We're going to set up for warrior two next. So on your inhale, cartwheel the arms forward and up to warrior two. So the hips are open up to the side of the mat. The front knee is bent, and it's tracking in the direction of the second toe. The back leg is extended. The back foot is almost parallel to the short edge of the mat, but it's turned in just slightly. Reach the arms in opposite directions. Shoulder blades draw down the back. Shoulders right over the hips. Take a moment here in your warrior two. One more breath here. Feeling that strength in your legs, in your body. Maybe a moment of gratitude for being able to practice yoga today. Now we're going to reverse warrior. So flip the front palm. Inhale, reach the front hand up towards the ceiling. The left hand can come somewhere down along the outside of the left leg. And then on your exhale, reach your right arm forward, bend the elbow, rest your forearm on top of your right thigh. Now the left hand can come to your left hip, your left arm can reach overhead, or your left arm can reach kind of towards the front of the room, just alongside your left ear. If you come into this position, maybe the palm faces down or towards the wall behind you. Inhale, we're going to bring it back to warrior two. And then on the exhale, cartwheel the arms forward and down to the mat, plant the hands, step it back to plank pose, shoulders over wrists, lower the knees to knee plank, and then exhale all the way down to the mat, hugging the arms in. Inhale, lift the head, lift the chest, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press the hands into the mat, lift it up through table, and back to downward facing dog. Nice. From here, on your next inhale, lift the left leg back and up behind you, three-legged dog, reaching through the heel, toes point down. On your exhale, bend the knee, hug it in towards your chest, and step the left foot all the way up to the top of the mat. From here, going to cartwheel the arms forward and all the way overhead, coming into warrior two here on the left side. Front knee is bent, right over the ankle, back leg is extended, the toes, the outside edge of the right foot is about parallel to the short edge of the mat, but just turned in slightly. Reaching through the fingers, feeling so strong here in this warrior two position. Very nice. On your next inhale, flip the front palm and reach that left hand up towards the ceiling. Reverse warrior. Right hand comes somewhere along the outside of the right leg. On your exhale, move back through warrior two, straight into side angle. So the left forearm rests on top of the left thigh. Right hand comes to the right hip, or maybe it reaches overhead. Try to put a little less weight into that forearm, a little more work into the core to support you. Very nice. From here, inhale, bring it back to warrior two. And then exhale, cartwheel the arms forward and down, plant the hands, step it back to plank pose. Lower the knees to knee plank. And then exhale all the way down to the floor. Inhale, lift the head, lift the chest, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Press into the hands, lift up through tabletop, send it back to downward facing dog. Very nice. We'll take one more deep breath here in your down dog. Maybe exhaling out through the mouth, big cleansing breath. And then from here, look towards the top of the mat and step all the way up to the top of the mat, standing forward bend. From here, feet are about hip-width distance apart. We're going to come into chair pose next. So bend the knees, send the hips back, start to float the arms forward, and bring your hands to heart center, pressing the hands into each other, sending the hips back. Little more weight in the heels, but keep the toes down. Make sure you can still see your toes here. Feeling so strong in the legs, feeling strong in the glutes. Pull the belly in towards the spine so you have that core supporting your back. Take one more nice strong breath here. On the exhale, straighten the legs, push the feet into the ground, reach the arms out and overhead. And then exhaling, hands to heart center. Well done. All right, now it's time to make our way down to the floor. You can lower down however you like. If you'd like to add in a little bit of work for the ankles and the feet and the legs, we're going to lower down through the imaginary wall. So imagine that your back is against a wall here. You're going to bring your arms straight out in front of you. Thumbs come in, fingers come over the thumbs. So reaching your arms forward, lift your heels up off the mat. Imagine that wall back behind you, and then slowly lower all the way down. Go nice and slow here. You might hear some pops along the way. Once you get close enough to the floor, you can sit all the way down on the floor. Next, we're going to come into Navasana, boat pose. So sitting on the mat, knees bent, feet about hip-width distance apart. Bring your hands just below the knees, kind of at the top of the shins. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other and down the back. Reach your heart forward and up. Take an inhale right here. Now, this is on the exhale, straighten your arms, leaning back slightly. You should start to feel your core turn on a little bit here. Now, option to stay right here. If you want to add on, you can release the hands. So just reaching the arms alongside of the knees, bringing a little more work into the core. You're welcome to stay right here. If you want to add on even more, you might see what it's like to float one or both feet off the mat. The feet can stay low to the mat, or they might lift higher up. The choice is yours. Choose your own adventure. We'll hold this here for about 15 more seconds. Breathing deeply here. Keep the chest, the heart reaching forward, shining up, nice long tall back. Remembering the cervical spine here, so the head is right in line with the rest of the spine. Very nice. On your next exhale, slowly lower it down. Bring the soles of the feet together, knees open wide, moving into Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. So the soles of feet together, you can decide how close you want to slide your heels in towards your body. Just allowing the knees to fall where they do. Sitting up nice and tall here. Now, two options. You can stay seated upright here. If it feels good in your body, you might gently fold forward into this pose. Notice your breath here. Notice how you feel in your body. Feel your body breathing. We'll take one more deep breath here. And then on your exhale, bring your hands on the outside of your knees and gently draw your knees back together. All right, from here we're going to come into bridge pose. So you slowly lower down. You can either roll onto your side and then roll onto your back, or if you want to add a little bit of core work from seated, you can slowly lower one vertebra at a time flat onto your back. So knees bend. Ankles right under the knees, and they're about hip-width distance apart. Arms alongside the body, palms face down. Moving into bridge pose, take a breath in right here. On your exhale, slowly lift your hips up. Now you decide here. It might feel nice to lift the hips just slightly up off the mat. It might feel nice to lift the hips higher and higher until you form sort of an angle or a ramp shape from your shoulders through the hips all the way up to your knees. So lifting the hips up, keeping the knees hugging inward. Imagine that you had a block in between your knees. The knees love to fall out in this pose, so gently hugging them in. One more breath here, maybe lifting the hips a little bit higher. And then exhale, slowly lower down from the top of the spine. Last thing to roll down onto the mat is your sacrum. Very nice. From here, take a breath in. Exhale, hug the knees in towards the chest. An option to gently rock from side to side. And then we'll transition to our final resting pose for Shavasana. So to come into Shavasana, you're going to extend both legs flat on the mat. Take up some space here. You can let the feet flop out to the sides. They might be about as wide as the yoga mat. Bring the arms off to the side as well. Hands might even come off of the yoga mat. You can gently rock the head just slightly from one side to the other, finding that perfect spot for the back of the head to rest on the mat. Allow the back of the body to release more and more deeply into the floor. Allow your skin to soften. Allow the eyes to close. And take a moment here to notice how you're feeling in your body after this short yoga practice. I invite you to stay in this resting pose for as long as you'd like. Try to stay here for a couple minutes at least, but if this feels nice, you can stay here for 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you very much for sharing your yoga practice with me today. I'll see you next time.